I'd like to thank you all for being here. I know Larry's already said this, but breast cancer is a problem that affects almost everyone in this room. If you think of an aunt or a sister or a cousin or even a brother, rarely. And the grief associated with struggling with this illness is huge. So I'm grateful that you're here. It's going to take a whole army of community members to beat this disease, and each one of you has taken responsibility by being here. So two things. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my research in the laboratory, but I'd also like to tell you that you don't need to get on a plane. If someone in this community develops breast cancer, you can come to the University of Miami. We have assembled over the last 7 years a stellar team of people who do breast imaging, breast surgery, and we have a portfolio of clinical trials of the latest therapies for breast cancer that's really next to none internationally. So having made that small advertisement, the Breast Cancer Research Foundation has really been supporting work in my lab to try to develop better therapies for breast cancer. And one of the beautiful things about this grant funding is that you have the flexibility to do exploratory research that wouldn't necessarily be funded by the NIH or the federal sources. And one of the things that I've questioned for some time is, why is it that women who are obese have a higher rate of developing breast cancer? And what is it in the breast environment, indeed in the fat cells, that influence how the breast epithelial cells, those cells that give rise to breast cancer, grow and get out of control? And so the Breast Cancer Research Foundation has funded a new direction to my research in which we're looking at and another thing about breast cancer is it tends to metastasize or spread to specific areas. The bone is one of these. So breast cancer, the #1 most common place that breast cancer goes to is to the bone. So we've been interested in so if you may not realize this, but most of our breast tissue is fat. And what is it in the breast, in the fat of the breast tissue, that influences how the normal breast cells grow? So what we've done is we've taken breast cells that are the kind of cells that can give rise to cancer, that are in various stages en route to becoming malignantly or cancerous in their growth. And we can grow these in culture. And we've taken fat cells, human fat cells, and we've grown these together with the breast cells, and we find that when the two cell types are grown together, bad things happen. So normally, I guess you could think of a breast duct somewhat like a roll of wrapping paper. And on the inside where the cardboard is, that's where the normal breast cells are. And on the outside, there are layers of fibrous cells and other cells that form a membrane. And outside that, there's a sea of fat. And one of the things that cancers do very, very early on is they poke through the wrapping paper and they get out into the fatty environment. So we've been looking at what happens when a normal self-respecting breast cell gets in contact with fat cells. And it's really quite remarkable. We found about 10 different molecules that may be helping those breast cells survive, that also promote their motility so that they can wiggle around and get into the bloodstream and go elsewhere in the body, and that also help them grow and divide. And indeed, some of these very factors that are produced, they're not normally produced by fat cells, they're not normally produced by the breast cells, but when the two are together, you get a toxic mixture, and you get some things we call cytokines in the trade, or growth factors, that actually are promoting those breast cells to more nasty behavior. And so, but what's really surprising is that some of these molecules have been known about for 20 years. There are antibodies that block the effects of these molecules, and it may in fact be possible to use those new antibody-type drugs to actually to target specifically the process whereby a normal self-respecting breast epithelial cell takes up company with the wrong characters, the fat cells, and does bad things.